Welcome to the Amanda Hoyle Show. Today we're going to make some strawberry bread with Becky while she tells us about her adoption story from a birth mother's perspective. Coming up. Hey guys, I want to introduce you guys to someone super special to me. I have known her since riding the school bus in middle school, elementary school. Becky. Hi, Becky.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Okay, so you're going to tell us a super sweet story today.
Yep.
And you're going to make us some very yummy strawberry bread. So first, let's talk a little bit about you.
Okay. I am a mom to a 4-year-old and a wife. I run a local business, Hands with Heart. I'm a massage therapist and an Vigo practitioner doing abdominal massage, and I primarily focus on working with women who come in with women's health issues and working through healing both physically, emotionally, and mentally.
On top of being a massage therapist, you recently decided to start a birth moms group.
Yes.
For support.
Yes, for local support for birth moms in the area.
What made you want to do that?
Well, to start, I myself am a birth mom to a beautiful 10-year-old girl. Her name is Grace. And when I first had Grace, about a year afterwards, I was living in Chicago and I had a really great support system there. There was a support group, there was a foundation that helped women get on their feet after placing their children for adoption. And when I moved back to Virginia, my hometown, there was nothing like that here. Nowhere. Nothing in DC, in West Virginia, just a total void. And I felt a little, I had a great support system, but I felt like I couldn't really reach out to any peers, and I missed that very much. So here I am, years later, feeling like I'm ready to start that up for other women who are seeking the same thing.
So we're making some strawberry bread. What made you want to make this for us today?
I wanted to share it with you because this is a recipe that Grace's mother gave to me after she made me some strawberry bread. They had gone strawberry picking. I think Grace was about 2 or 3 years old and had bucket loads of strawberries. And so this is something that I make a lot every May, June, when the strawberry season.
Awesome. That's very sweet. Okay, so what is the first step? What do we need to do first?
Let's do all the liquid ingredients first. So we have our eggs,
okay,
strawberry puree, and the oil.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. You can start. And we're going to put this recipe in the description for you guys so you can try and make it at home. Do like a super fast. Ready? We're going to mix it on low. That's probably good, right? All right, so we got this all mixed up. What's next?
Then let's beat in the sugar.
Okay.
First.
Do you want help? Or no, that's
I think we can just pour it in.
This is such an awesome little gadget. Okay. And then, do you want to go ahead and do these?
Yep, we'll do cinnamon and baking soda.
Okay. All set, you ready? We add the flour next?
Yep, just little by little.
Okay. It's okay if you make a mess, we don't care.
Okay. It's good to have permission.
Yeah. A messy cook is the best cook. That's what my grandma said. And then for some reason, she decided to say the opposite, like 10 years later. A good cook cleans up after herself. No, Grandma, that's not how we started. Messy cook is the best cook.
Can't take that back.
Yeah.
And so once you're all mixed, then we'll just take it and pour it right into the pan here. This will make 2 loaf pan sizes.
Okay. And you want to coat your pan, I guess, so it doesn't stick. You got it.
There we go.
Very good.
Then we'll bake at 350.
Okay.
Yep.
For about an hour, I think is what you told me.
Yeah, and until a toothpick comes out clean.
Okay, so while that's cooking, tell us what led you to decide to go with adoption.
Well, I got pregnant before I was ready. I was 21 years old. I was not in a space where I was able to parent. It was not a fun feeling to see that positive pregnancy test. And when I first found out that I was pregnant, I was in between finishing up massage school and going to California to work with the AmeriCorps out there. That's where I was stationed. So the timing was really terrible. Immediately, I felt like, okay, I'm just going to place this baby for adoption. I'll still continue my journey in California, and this will be a simple process, bam, done. But of course, it was not that simple. And as the baby grew and I developed more into my pregnancy, there was this sort of back and forth. And honestly, the majority of the pregnancy, I felt like I was going to parent. And it was a really hard time. There was nothing black or white.
Right.
I knew that I would be a good mother. I knew that I couldn't offer everything that I was offered when I was a child. I had a wonderful family, a wonderful childhood, a fabulous dad. I knew that she wasn't going to have the father figure in her life that she needed and deserved. But at the same time, I knew that I could do it when I put my mind to something. It happens. So it was this gray area throughout the pregnancy. It was really emotionally trying. And finally, I came to a point where it was time to make a decision. I was almost 7 months pregnant. And so it had been recommended to me by a friend of my mom's. They had adopted 2 boys through a local agency, and they recommended the agency. And I thought, I'm just going to go. I'm going to talk to a social worker. I'm going to see, really dig into this option and see what this means. And on the way in that whole process, through that week, driving to the agency, really, I opened up and I prayed and I really surrendered myself to the situation. When there is no clear right or wrong, you can't make a right or wrong decision. Mm-hmm. So I just asked for guidance and said, this is out of my control now. And, just show me the way. I don't want to be the one to make this choice anymore. I need to have help. And so I spoke with a fabulous social worker, and immediately as soon as I walked out of that door, I just knew that was the right choice. Everything was clearer. I felt like I was seeing the trees on the mountainside clear for the first time in months. And I just had felt like a weight had been lifted. So yeah, I surrendered myself to the situation and followed the path that I felt was laid out for me.
That's really amazing. I love that you saw everything clear. And sometimes when we just let go and give it to the universe and give it to God, that's exactly what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process of, so you decided this is exactly for you, but then what was the next step? How did you go to pick your family that you were going to place her with?
So the families that I was given were all families that had come to the adoption agency looking for a child to add to their family. And it's interesting, when I first went and I had decided that this was the right choice for me, And for my baby, I was given a stack, literally a stack of 10 families. And the weight of that was kind of overwhelming to think, that all of these people are just waiting for their family to be completed. Yeah. And I could be a part of that. And so I took a really long time to look through, and it's funny, I had actually, of that stack, I had chosen a family, and I went back to the agency, and when I did, that family was already pending and had a pending adoption. And before I had given that stack, I had filled out a list of credentials of what I would like to see in an adoptive family. Everything from how many other children they had in the household, how old the adoptive parents were, to what kind of hobbies and interests they had. So it was pretty specific. And my social worker said, Becky, I know I wasn't interested in placing, because I was a little bit nervous about favoritism, placing with a family that already had a biological child. And my social worker said, now this family meets every qualification that you asked for, except that they have a 6-year-old biological son. And I just really feel like I need to give this to you and have you look this over. And again, instantly I opened the page and I just knew that was her family, and that's who she was meant to be with. So the process for me was thankfully really streamlined, and I got to meet them before she was born, and we had a nice relationship, and I just felt like we clicked. I believe they said the same thing. So yeah, that part was pretty simple. Again, I had already gone through that period of surrender and acceptance, and so I was really just open for what was next in store for us.
So knowing how much it clicked in that moment, did that put your heart at ease a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course. I mean, of course it was painful and a right. challenging time. It's really bittersweet in a way. And actually I had a picture of the family of 3 and a picture of the little boy hanging on my wall. And they kind of, those pictures were my strength through the rest of the pregnancy. And they kept me strong, because I knew just having her family there present in front of me and with me made me push through and realize that there was no turning back, because this was the way. Yeah.
That's awesome. So our bread's all ready for us. We've already taken it out and put it on a pretty pan. Ta-da! Yay! So you say you normally top this with something. What is it that we top this with?
A sweetened cream cheese.
Okay. Yep. And you already made that for us.
Yes, I did.
So it's just cream cheese, honey, and
a little bit of vanilla.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so before we cut this up, let me get this out of the way so we can work a little better.
Okay.
Okay. I'll let you do the honors.
Okay.
Oh,
oops. Okay.
Perfect.
Do we want 2? One for me, one for you?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Icing me up, baby.
Ooh. It's like a ballerina twirl. Okay.
Very good. Looks
Ta-da.
yummy. Okay. Do we use our hands or forks?
Oh, fingers all the way.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's try it. That is so good.
It's good.
I love the topping.
Thank you.
It's very good. Getting back to your story, can you
tell us about now the hospital, like what it was like to have her and then leave.
Sure. I'm a pretty goal-oriented person. So once I make my mind up about something, I do it.
Yeah.
And so my body kind of followed suit. So Grace was almost 2 weeks early. I had a 2-hour labor. She was, I think she played a part in that too. She was really ready to move on to the next step, as was I. And I spent 24 hours in the hospital. Her parents came the next day and stayed with her, and that was really nice to kind of have that transitional period. And yeah, walking out of the hospital was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And then in the state of Virginia, birth mother has 10 days to change her mind after the adoption. So those 10 days were also really, really challenging. Not at all that I felt that I may want to go change my mind, but the fact that the door wasn't closed yet was really hard. And yeah, I stayed strong in my conviction, and because I knew that it was the right thing. And I mean, she was born to be their daughter. I knew that then. I know that now.
How long do you think it took for you to feel normal again?
That is an interesting question to answer, because I don't really know what normal is after that. Everything shifts and everything changes. It's life altering. I will say that very shortly after she was born, I was, I was ready to move on. I was ready to take the next step. I was still really young. I had goals and ambitions that I wanted to achieve, and I took those steps. So immediately, almost right after my 6-week postpartum checkup, I moved to Chicago to start a new life. And it really wasn't until her first birthday that I truly started the grieving process. And it's interesting how even with all that acceptance and all of that knowing that it was the right thing, it's still a loss and there's still pain. And even today, 10 years later, that surfaces, that trauma and that loss never leaves. But the way in which I implement it into my life and the way in which I kind of sort through the layers changes over time. So yeah, I'm fine. I'm functioning well. I have a lovely husband and a beautiful son, and we have a great life together. And so I don't feel it negatively affects me, but it certainly has completely changed my life and changed the course of choices that I have made since then.
Yeah. What is something you would like to say to potential birth moms or birth moms who have just gone through the process?
Definitely that life goes on after this, that there's a future for you, and the pain, the grief, the loss, the sadness, the intensity fades. And I think it's important to remember where that comes from. I think it's important to know that behind all of that is love. And that's the fuel for everything. And it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be joyful or relieved or even regret. That's all okay. And I just think it's really important that as you're going through your personal journey and as your layers start to strip and as you kind of get deeper into this trauma and this loss and this process that does not end, that you reach out and you find support. And if you don't have support like I thankfully did from my family and my very dear friends,
that you find it in your community, and that you reach out. If you don't have a support group locally, reach out online. Go find a counselor. There are adoption counselors out there who specialize in helping us work through these issues. And yeah, that it's all good.
Now that you've told us what you would say to a birth mom, what is something that you could say to help everyone else who maybe has no connection or knowledge of what a birth mom even is? Mm-hmm. What would you say to them to help them better understand from a birth mom's perspective?
I would say that everybody's story is different, and that makes it kind of challenging. Of course, you want to be sensitive, and you want to be kind, and you want to be nurturing, but everybody's needs are very different. So for me, I was, blessed enough to be able to have the relationship with Grace and her parents. And I had this wonderful support system. My parents were there, my sisters were there, extended family, friends. I wasn't lacking in options. I'm so grateful that I was able to choose, because I can have a peace with that. Because my situation is something that I said, this is the best. And there are a lot of birth moms out there who have none of that. There are birth moms who choose to keep that door shut and not have contact because it's just too painful. Maybe forced into adoption out of financial circumstance or age or partner, and so every single adoption is different, and every birth mother's journey is very different, and it's important to understand that and to not have this construed judgment of what a person should be feeling, or what where a woman should go, or when she should let go of her grief. That's not for us to decide. That's her space and her journey. And overall, knowing that that the strength that is required to give your heart to someone else is unexplainable. I can't even speak to that. So just understanding kindness, non-judgment, and really acceptance of where we all are individually and then as a community.
So you mentioned that you have a relationship with Grace. That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I'm a really strong advocate for open adoption because I personally feel, and just in my experience in my journey, that it is the best choice for the child. And that is what this is all about. This is the preciousness that holds this all together, that keeps this moving. And so when I first went into this, I was a little unsure of where. I knew that I wanted some contact, but it's hard to know when you're in that situation to be making. It's a very short period of time, and you're making these lifetime decisions. Mm-hmm. And plus, there's the fogginess and cloudiness of the emotion and the tragedy of it all. So thankfully, I was so blessed. Like I said before, I was connected with the family that I was supposed to be connected with. And they also were very open, and they were very supportive of me in my journey and in recognizing how difficult it may be for me. And although they made no promises, they still just always met me where I was at the time, which is such a blessing. And so over the years, it's interesting because it's kind of this manufactured relationship, again, that we're centering around this precious little baby girl. But over the years, I'd like to say that we've become wonderful friends, and I feel I can share a lot with them. I feel they share a lot with me. And I just love as Grace grows, she has automatically all the answers to questions that come up. And if she doesn't have the answer, then she can just reach out and shoot a text or give me a phone call or an email. And I love that. And her parents love that. And there's this definite strong base of her lineage and ancestry that is never questioned. She's never questioned how loved she is, because she knows, because she has 2 families that love her completely unconditionally. So I just want to share a story with you just to show Grace's perspective of the open adoption. And again, this is all with her lead, and her parents have been wonderful in kind of providing information to her as she's ready, and not withholding things that she might need to know. But they did a school project a couple weeks ago, and the assignment was to draw your family tree with your parents at the top, with your extended family down the trunk. And so she came to her mom and she said, "Mom, look, I drew 2 trees, one with our family and then one with Becky and then my husband and my son beneath." And just the fact that it's just so normal for her. The word birth mom has been in her vocabulary from the get-go, is so special, and you can see her confidence as she grows in herself. And I feel like that is a really big part of that. And, I just really have her parents to thank. That's something that not a lot of birth mothers and adoptive children get to experience. So,
just from listening to you, I can say that I know without a doubt Grace is a very lucky little girl.
Yes.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah. Lucky and kind and spunky and very intelligent. Sweet girl.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing such a personal story to you. It really means a lot.
Oh, thank you, Mandy.
Okay, guys, that's it for today. If you are a birth mom and want to reach out for Becky for support, we're going to drop her email in our description, so be sure to reach out. And if you aren't a birth mom and you think this might help somebody, please share with them. Mm-hmm. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.